So welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all having a great week. My name is Andy with Boatworks today, and I hope spring is finally here. The reason I say that I hope is because last week we just got hit with a late season winter storm. And after having just gotten my garden planted, getting 2 to 3 inches of snow and 40, 50 mile an hour winds, that was not real cool. It basically wiped out pretty much everything that I already had stuck in the ground. So that was a little bit like getting kicked in the but that is not what this video is about. Now, again, since spring is here, what that usually does is it brings along a laundry list of projects that people are trying to get done on their boats before they actually get splashed and spend the rest of the season. And I'd say right about now, the 3 most common things that are going on in the yards are probably a lot of buffing and waxing. There's always some fiberglass or some gel coat work going on. And then a lot of people are also refinishing the bright work or the woodwork on their boats. Now, for this video and then also the next video, what I'm going to be focusing on is going to be some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years as it pertains to like doing some fiberglass work and then also the wood refinishing. So this video in particular, I think is going to be focused more towards people that aren't real familiar with working with fiberglass or gel coat, specifically when it comes to like what materials to use and that kind of thing. But I still think that there is going to be some good information in here, even for people that work with it quite a bit. And yes, I am going to be addressing that itch, that fiberglass itch. So with that said, let's get started. So now the first thing I want to talk about is actually something I shared over on Patreon a couple weeks ago, and it was just kind of one of those, oh yeah, kind of aha moments. And it's as simple as it may sound, it's actually the choice of roller frame to use when you're rolling out your resins. Now in the past, I've always used these kind. I think we're all familiar with these. I think what they're called like barrel style rollers, something like that. And I've used these for, I don't know, forever. I mean, ever since I started doing this many years ago. And there's always been one problem that I've always had with these, and that's when you're rolling out resins, and you're taking them in the paint tray and loading up the roller and everything. Resin always gets right up in here, as well as inside of here. And after it cures, well, then your resin is pretty much shot. I mean, you're stuck either having to soak this thing in acetone for a long time, get in there with a razor, screwdriver, trying to chip out all the old cured resin and stuff. But more oftentimes than not, the roller just ends up getting shot. And in a year, I would go through 6, 7, and maybe even 8 of these things. And it's just frustrating, all right? Now, within this past year, I came across, well, I didn't come across these things, they're nothing new, they've been around forever. But it's the style of rollers that use this kind of handle. And basically what these are is these little barrel or cigar style rollers. These things are fantastic. Just trying to kind of put some dollars to where the cents is, the rollers for these little cigar rollers, you can get a pack of 10 of these on Amazon for like 16 bucks. So it's like $1.60 per roller. Now, and these are excellent rollers. I mean, I use these for paint work, rolling out resins, gel coats, pretty much anything and everything now. This is pretty much the only style roller that I'm going to be using. Now, compare that to these old style rollers. Now, to get a good quality roller that you could use with paint, you're looking at $5, $6, $7 per roller. And rollers, they're a one-time use item. I mean, especially if you're working with like resins. Once that resin cures, that roller is shot. So you pull it off. Hopefully, if you remember to pull it off before it cures, otherwise there's another reason for having to chuck one of these things away. But you pull it off. There really is no cleaning those. I mean, you use them once and they're gone. Like I said, they're a disposable item. Now, looking at that as dollars and cents, why would you want to, well, again, I'm asking this to myself, why did I spend all that money on rollers that I just ended up throwing when I had these? Well, honestly, I don't have a good answer for it. I don't know how I never really came across these. I mean, I knew they were out there, just really never thought about giving them much of a use, but $1.60 per roller compared to $5, $6, $7 a roller, huge cost savings. And if you're going to be in any kind of a project where you're going to be going through a lot of rollers, that adds up pretty quickly. Next thing, again, simple as it may sound, gloves. Now, I'm sure we've all had our gloves on when we're trying to wipe something down using some kind of a solvent, and within like 30 seconds, the glove just disintegrates. Or it swells up into a giant balloon and it basically falls off your hand. Well, there's two styles of gloves that I use, and depending on what it is I'm working with, I use, that kind of dictates which kind of glove I'm using. So now these nitrile gloves. Now these things work great for just general use. If you're going to be working with varnishing or your pigments, or if you're going to be tinting gel coat, opening cans, that kind of thing. Working with epoxy, these gloves are fantastic. All right, they don't melt, they don't degrade. They may eventually melt, but you certainly get plenty of work time on them before they get to that point. Now, if you're going to be working with solvents like acetone or any kind of a thinner or reducer with paints, these things don't hold up at all. I mean, you're talking 30 seconds to a minute and they're pretty much ripped and shot. Now, when you're going to be working with that kind of stuff, what you want to be using are basically these heavy-duty latex gloves. Now, in both of these, my hands are, I'd say, the average size. I use extra large gloves, but these heavy-duty latex ones, they'll hold up to pretty much any kind of solvent that you're going to be using when it comes to working with boats. Polyester resins, your vinyls, your acetones, thinners, reducers, hull cleaners. I mean, you name it. They pretty much hold up. They do eventually kind of swell up and get to the point where you gotta swap them out. But you get probably, 20, 30 minutes of working time with these latex ones with those harsh chemicals, compared to, say, 15 minutes or 15 seconds of these little nitrile gloves. Now, these ones are more expensive, but they last longer. So that's why I say for general use, these little nitrile ones are perfect, but if you're going to be, again, digging in some icky stuff, these heavy-duty latex ones really are the way to go. Now, the next thing on the list is going to be brushes, and really these are a lot like rollers when you're using them with resin, in that they're really like a one-time use item. So there's no point in getting expensive brushes. I mean, you're going to use them once, maybe twice, and then they're trash. So what I always use are these just cheap-ass little chip brushes. I mean, and specifically, I try to find ones that have short hairs on them, because if you're using it with resin, you don't want to have long bristles because you're trying to force the resin down into the glass. So a nice short bristle on here makes that a lot easier. Now, as far as the size that I use most often, more oftentimes than not, I'm using a 2-inch, even on larger areas, because on larger areas I'm going to be rolling the material out, and then I'll come in with a brush and just kind of touch up any of the areas where the roller itself wouldn't actually fit. So cheap chip brushes, I usually buy these by like a case of like 100. That's where you get your best price on them. All right, so the next few things that I want to talk about are geared more towards like your personal protection or your PPE, kind of stuff. And no, I'm not talking about condoms. Although, funny enough, I did have somebody a while back tell me that they had put a condom over top of a roller when they were getting ready to paint their boat, and they left it on there, and that's how they basically spread the paint. They said it worked fantastic. I've not tried it, so I can't comment on it. But I did want to ask the question. The first thing that kind of popped in my head is, well, did it leave little ribs in the paint? No. Anyways, I'll probably cut that out. So the first thing I want to talk about is going to be suits. And really there aren't very many options. I mean, everybody has seen the white Stay Puft Marshmallow Tyvek suits, and those work really, really well, but they don't hold up. If you're going to be doing, say, like a project for like a weekend or every once in a while, then those would be a very good option. For like myself, where I'm here doing this pretty much every day, that just becomes too expensive. I mean, what always happens to me is the back end blows out, and it just you walk around the shop looking like an idiot. I mean, there's a reason I don't ever have anybody else here, is because they'd spend the whole day laughing at me. But anyways, so the Tyvek suits are a great option, but again, as you can see, what I usually prefer is just to wear like a good heavy cotton suit with with my bibs are kind of like my thing, but any kind of work pants, because if you're going to be working with any kind of resins or fiberglass work or painting or whatever, your clothes are going to get trashed. I mean, I don't care how careful you are about it, they're going to get dirty. You're going to get resin on them or caulking or whatever it may happen to be. They're going to get trashed. So what I prefer to use, instead of going through like a $10 Tyvek suit once or twice a day, I buy the big red Santa suit, and it works really well. The glass still does get stuck in here, But you can throw this in the laundry, cleans it out pretty well, and you can use them over and over. I usually go through this outfit, this usually will last me about a year. Now, the next thing is going to be the respirators. Now, this is something that is very important. I mean, and I don't mean talking about these little paper ones. I guess they're fine for doing some things, but an actual good respirator. And the one that I use, it's one of the 3Ms, it's their 7500 model. Now, again, I'm going to have all this listed up on my Amazon store, but these things are great. Now, when you buy these, something that may not necessarily always be clear, but when you buy these, the mask itself is separate from the cartridges. Now, and that's the reason they do that is because, well, they make a number of different cartridges depending on what it is you're working with, whether you're going to be working with, say, like organic vapors, like what we would be dealing with, like with polyester resins or epoxies or that kind of thing. Or they also make some for like different gases or acids or whatever you happen to be. So they sell the mask separately and then from the cartridges so that you can get the whatever cartridges that you need. Now, these particular cartridges, again, like I mentioned, the ones that we're going to be using are going to be like the organic vapor cartridges. And I believe these are like the P100 cartridges. And these things are great. They're charcoal filtered, but the one downside about that is that once you open these cartridges and you put them on, they have a shelf life. And as soon as you open the sealed bag that they come in, that clock starts running. Now, typically, if they're stored correctly, you can basically get about a month's worth of use out of each of these filters. If you don't store them correctly, it might be a little bit closer to a week. So when you're done using these, best thing to do, they just pop right off, and then stick them in a Ziploc bag or a zip top bag, and then seal them up, keep them in a dark place, and you'll prolong the life on there. Now, something that I always recommend doing is whenever you open a brand new cartridge, date it. So that when you come back and when you actually know when you need this thing, when you pull them out of the bag and you look and say, I just opened this 2 weeks ago, or was it 2 months ago? So whenever I open up, I always date them, slap them on the mask, and then ready to go. Now, to replace these, it's super simple. Like I said, you just kind of take them and they just twist on and off. Same kind of deal. Now, as far as what size to get, now I'd say I have an average size face. Some people might say I have a big head, but an average size face. So at least for myself, my mask is a medium size. Now, if you're a big dude, maybe go up to a large. I'd say most guys are going to use a medium, and most women would probably use one of a small size. Now, moving on, I don't care how careful you are. If you're doing any kind of work with fiberglass, specifically any sanding or grinding, you're going to get that itch. And no, I'm not talking about that itch. That's for a completely different type of channel. But the fiberglass itch, and where it always got me was right up in the eyes and then on my forearms here. And I guess there's a number of different ways or thoughts that people have kind of come up with to try and get rid of that. The first one, which is I'm sure what a lot of people are thinking already, is, well, they make creams for that. Just basically butter yourself up like a turkey, and and that it clogs the pores of your skin and prevents the glass from being able to actually get in there. And I don't like the idea of doing that. It just seems kind of gross and icky. So I personally do not use the creams. If you've used them and had good luck with them, great, knock yourself out with that. And if it works, it works. Now, personally, I prefer to just basically find a way to minimize the dust to begin with, and then just deal with it throughout the day until I can get home and take a shower. So now, the shower. Now, there's two schools of thought when it comes to the shower. You either start with cold water first and then go to hot, or start with hot water first to get all the glass out and then go to cold. And personally, I say piss on them both. I just go straight to hot, and it's, for me, again, this has been my experience. For me, it's not how hot or cold the water is, or even what soap you're using. It's what you're using to actually scrub yourself down. Now, most people, I think, probably are using a washcloth. And again, my opinion, washcloth they don't do it. They kind of suck. What ends up happening, what I think is actually happening there, is that all the little glass fibers, get embedded into the washcloth, and all you're doing is you're just smearing that back around your body, lodging it back into your skin. What I have found that works extremely well is, you can't take my man card away from this just because I don't care, it works, all right? If you want to take my card, go ahead and take it. But it's these little loofah poof ball scrub things. I'll throw a little picture of one up here so you can see what I'm talking about. But these things work absolutely fantastic. I mean, there's nothing, you know, in the little poof ball thing for the glass to actually get embedded in. It's just the water and everything just runs right through it. So it's like when you're scrubbing yourself down, it pulls the fibers out of your skin and then it just rinses right through the little poof ball thing and, you know, goes down the drain. So I have come home feeling like a porcupine, and after a shower with using one of these, this is what I found that works the best. Now, again, if you have another way of doing this that works for you, you know, great. You know, that's awesome. If you're just getting into this and you're trying to figure out how to deal with it, I really, really recommend that you take a look at one of these little loofah poof ball things, because seriously, they work. I use them pretty much every single day, or well, at least when I shower. I think it goes without saying that if you're going into a project, the tools or the specific tools that you're using are really only about half of the equation. The other half of that, and maybe even more so, is making sure that you're using good quality products. And I'm not talking about, you know, a lot of the crap and stuff that you find like at big box stores or even most automotive stores. I'm talking about good quality products that you're getting from an actual composite retailer. Now, as you know, the products that I'm using up on my Bertram here, it's almost solely all TotalBoat. And there's a reason for that. It's because it's good stuff and it's not going to break the bank when you got to purchase this stuff. I mean, in general, marine products are expensive, but at least the products that are offered from TotalBoat are very, very reasonably priced. Now, everything that I've used from this company, from their polyester resins to their epoxies, to their gel coats, to their fairing and their buffing compounds, their polishes, I mean, everything that I've used from them has just been absolutely top notch. I mean, the stuff just works. Now, if you'd like to find out more information on any of the products that they offer, I will have a link down below where you can go check that out. It is an affiliate link, so any of the purchases that you make would help out my channel. And if you're so inclined, if you take that link and just bookmark it, that way anytime you have to go back and purchase some more, again, it's an easy way to help support this channel without costing you anything. So with that said, I hope you found this video helpful. You know, like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, you can leave those down below. And as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching.
This has been a Boatworks Today production.